I haven't done a video for ages. I won't get into it. I'm old fellow with new technology. But I've got my old phone here again, working fine. I hope. And a lot of this stuff is sort of pretty hard to film. You know, don't exactly know what I'm up to, so I've just got to sit down and nut it out and take my time with it. Getting the glass and the frames back in the doors. I started that a couple of days ago, or a few days ago now. Yes, I got some great help from some pages in a manual. From the club, that was a great help. Sort of figured out that how you put the regulator, then the glass, then the frame. Tricky getting the glass on the channels. Tricky, I found it at first, and then I found if I just lifted it right up to the top, I managed to get it to click on easy enough at the back. I was like, oh, that was easy enough. After spending like a couple of hours struggling with trying to get it on, really a couple of hours, as the arthritis is quite swollen to now. Well, a mixture of arthritis, carpal tunnel, and inflammation, and both hands, but mainly this one. Yeah, so hence why I haven't been filming. It's just a long, tedious struggle, but I got them in. I found out the easier route. Except when you go to the front, you can't use the same method to hook the glass on at the front. I ended up moving it right to the bottom, or about just off the bottom, not quite at the bottom. I can't remember now. I think it was something like that. I should remember, because it's quite a thing, remembering the right spot. There's only one spot you can sort of squeeze the glass in between the sides of the doors and all the bits in that. You just can't sort of move the glass over enough to get it quite on the channel, on both channels. If you've taken doors apart, you'll know exactly what I mean. The little channels and rollers. I could roll it down, show you, but no, I'm just now in the process. So I've got them all to that stage. So I've got them all sitting in here. Got the weather strips sealed this time. I put a sealant in behind all the way along the weather strip, so water that runs down over the weather strip comes down into the chrome here and sits under. It's sealed now. I could see signs on the old ones and spots where water had come through. Over years and years and years of sitting outside under a tree before I got it. And so yeah, so in this door, then I went to the front door. Oh, and also, yeah, before putting the glass in, I had to take the doors off because I'm fitting new rubbers, and you had this piece here. There's a piece here to dig up in the garage after everything and clean them up and paint them again. That these little pieces that go all the way along and just stop the seal from squeezing out that direction. So it lets the lip of the rubber come around and seal against the door a bit better. And they pop rivet in, and goes up here. Normally you can't put the rubbers in until you've done all your bits and pieces, like like there's a chrome bit here, but I'm thinking of not running the chrome bit. It's the body work I like, and it's nice to de-chrome little things. I think it's stainless steel, but I think I'll take, for now anyway, and and I only lightly glued it, so if I want to put it back I could hopefully pull the rubber off without wrecking it, and it might rip it a bit off the back, but only a little bit, and you wouldn't notice glued back on. But I'll leave the top because I'm waiting on the screws, the special little screws with special little cut washers, and on the back the Furflex. The Furflex goes on first, which I've got some here. The Furflex goes on first, all the way around. It's glued in all the way around there, except for down here, it's actually tacked on. I've got some sort of I don't know what it is, but you can nail it, tack it, or glue it and tack it along down there. I've got to take the old tacks out because I just pulled it and they didn't even come out. That's how well they stick in there. And then it has to come around long enough to fit under the tread plate. That was a mistake I did last time when I did it. I cut them a bit short and they weren't long enough. And they got really shabby because I didn't finish it off. So this time I'll get them in, get the tread plates on, and get the interior bits in to hold it all and tuck it all in. But I'll just leave this top one, and today I'll get the rubber on this side, up here to here. I'll just glue that rubber on today, as well as I'm going to go around and seal the doors, and because I haven't bolted the down here. I haven't bolted that in yet. They say in the manual you bolt the rear one first for some reason, but I'll do exactly what they say because it's worked so far. And I'll bolt them in, and I've just masked it off because I'm going to have to. I'll just lift it up so you can lift it up. Ooh. And I'll squeeze sealer all under there. They say to do that. They use a black caulking compound, but I can't get any. I suppose I should get some black stuff, but I was just going to put blue gasket stuff in there. I'm thinking it'll do the job and last. It's just that it's blue. And same thing there. So I'll lift that up and I'll pull it out and I'll pull it back and get a bit in there and just seal that one too, and do go around all the doors, sealing them. These little packers here, I've got them down here, the little packers, these ones, the little packers, and I'll go around and adjust them so they're all sort of reasonably the same all the way around, screw them all together today. So it's pretty hard to film all this sort of stuff, fiddly ass stuff. I mean, easy to do a scratch, or you want to be real careful doing that scratches. I haven't done the roof yet. This was a run, big saggy sort of a run went through here, but I'll slowly work that down with papers going finer and finer and finer, and then I'll go to like 400 or 420, and then I'll go like 600, 800, 1200, 2000, 3000 like I did on the body. It comes out nice. Just that look, but you can't tell where it's a new paint job or it could have been there looked after for like years. And I de-chromed this, welded up the holes so we got no chrome, but it ran all the way through. Which last time I had it painted and I put all the chrome, and I was thinking, oh, the more chrome I put on it, the less I liked it. So this time I welded up the holes, and unless it lines up perfectly, it can look like crap too. So I welded up all the holes, except in the bonnet. I didn't weld the holes. It was quite thick in there around the edge, like triple thickness. So I just used bonnet and upset it because it was such a touch wood. She's such a nice piece, original piece. like the roof.
Touch wood.
And this left-hand guard is in original, and this is the one I put on. You can still see it. That one's over the life of the car has had heaps of dings. I found out when I stripped it down. I even found out that the last panel beater, he told me that he just nudged his workbench when he moved it or something, started it up, but he did more than nudge it. And it already had a hit on top of a hit, which was on top of another hit. It had fixes going back from 2 types of filler, or 3 types of filler back, 1, 2 or 3, and then lead, 2 different types of lead. So that guard was like very prone to just getting little knocks. But this one is the guard I acquired from the club acquired for me from an estate, and it's from a rusted out car that looked like it'd been sitting on a farm out back somewhere. It looked like it might have been the only panel left on it or something, but it's just, I've never seen an original front guard without knocks or things. Like, it's got the original, if you look side on, that it just comes around, it curves in at the bottom and then around up here. It's getting this curve right. Once you've tapped it, they never get it the same again, and it's still original. It was a new one to help get that one. So I used this one knowing it's a nice one. I tried to get that one looking sort of as close as I could, which it isn't, but it's looking a lot closer. There's lots to talk about it with it. It's sort of, I think, look at like the other guy's car, like not many, if it was like a 67 Ford or a Chev or something, I mean, people would just be flocking to watch. But you mentioned Jaguar and Daimler, people just, it's like the other guy's car. But they really are something special if you've got more patience and probably a little bit more money to spend on it. Not a lot though. If you do it yourself, they can be quite reasonably done. Everything's rebuildable. Some things have to rebuild, like the water pump. I couldn't get a new water pump, but they'll sell you all the bits to rebuild it. It's looking good down there. I've checked all the leaks. The only leaks I've got is coming out of the tappet covers. I've just got to sort that out. Another set of gaskets, but I just wanted to check everything first and put the old gaskets in first so I could take them all off, and after giving it a bit more run time, and check the chain tensions and all this, make sure everything stayed the same in the tappet area. I keep thinking I'm getting leaks in these pipes, which I really am. I've for years always had a problem with that. Like, it's hard to tell whether it's just run around off the valve and run onto it, but I think it is the pipes, because I changed the original little copper washers. I took them off and I put just cheap fibre washers on there and ran it for it till it warmed up, and they looked dry. There was still a bit of oil there, but not as much. Just the tappet cover that's left, and they're still dry. I'm still figuring that out. But I can remember years ago, Mike had actually upstairs put some feathers on them, and I'm thinking maybe it's leaking through the thread. It comes through the thread, it's got a really coarse thread that holds the banjo bolts in. Sealant on them this time and see if that makes any difference as well. So I've just put the cheap ass fan on there. It's going to have to be upgraded to something a lot better, but for now that will help. But as long as the car is moving, I've never noticed the temperature rise above 70 degrees as long as it's moving. Even hard out thrashing, it will go to 75 to 80, and that's it. But as soon as you come into a summer's day and you hit the city and the traffic, that's where you want a fan that's that puts out truly what they say, like if it's 250,000 CFM and not one that's 250 that only puts out like 1800 or whatever. True, I'll probably have to have a look around and get a nice cordless one or something. Cordless, I mean, cordless. Everything's cordless. I mean, brushless, sorry. And I'm quite pleased with the little bit of subtle work I did with the vents. That guard was already pushed down lower than standard, and I tried jacking it. It didn't really want to go, and I managed to get it up to lifted it a little bit, like 10 mils back, but it's still lower. But it actually looks quite cool though. So this one I mounted the same, which I sort of wanted to do the same thing anyway. It wanted to sit like I had a big level going all the way across, and I'm quite happy it wasn't like a huge mission. I had to lift this guard here though. This guard had to be lifted because the accident had done something to the card where if you mounted it in the same spot, it was like 10 mils too low, so it had to be lifted 10 mils. And it's quite confusing because also in the car, from the factory they can be out in spots. And first time I was mounting this oil cooler, I measured it up equal both sides to put it in. It was on an angle, and I thought, what the heck? And I started measuring around, and where they joined the cars in the middle, it was like not the same from one side to the other. So so there was that, plus the accident, which was a major one. The original guard was unidentifiable from one end to the other, right up to the door. Literally unidentifiable, crunched in every single way you could imagine. So what happened to the frame around there? But I'm pretty sure the frame's still good because the front suspension cross member has 6 bolts that hold the whole thing together. And I made sure when I bought the rubber mounts for it, because first of all I got a reproduction ones, and I'm like, well no, the holes weren't quite lining up. I thought, oh, I need the original one, so if it lines up, I know it. If that lines up, because it goes to the chassis, the frame, it should. If it lines up perfectly, that means the frame should be good in my mind. So I ended up paying like triple the price to get some original ballistic, I think they're called, or something like that. Rubbers, the originals. Yeah, and then I jacked it up, and it just lined up like a perfect glove, just straight in. So that tells me that there was no twist that way or that way. It went straight up to the frame in its square position and mounted. So if anything, it's just like pulled in a structure like this, it's been pulled forward and back, and the same in the firewall, not on the firewall side but on the inside of the guard side, and there all the mountings in there, because you can actually see a slight bend in here, and the inner guard, which I've replaced in there, the inner piece, that was munted. So it's more like pulled around here and up to the pillar a bit, rather than the actual frame and the sill. Because the sills on these are like 16, maybe even thicker. Really heavy gauge sills that take the from the centre frame out, and they rely a lot on the sill going back in at the back for the frame. Very strong, and just the way that everything is so uni-bodied and joined together, you could see if anything's moved. You really can. And only where I can see it moved was in this structure in here. I did the best I could at, and it came out pretty good really. It's not, I mean, apart from the door being a bit lower, but that was, and probably putting the skin on if I want it level. I could probably lift it by spacing this hinge out, but then I'm going to lose this line here. And the accident could have done something here, because it's got a dent in the top, and it did have like a dent here where the door had been sort of like pushed into that pillar and pushed into this one in the accident, and then sprung back. So without like special technology to fix it, I just did the best I could, and I think it came out alright. Luckily enough, the door skins I got were flatter than the originals, because if they were rounder, it's actually a lot harder to line up with the guards, because the curve has to flow from one end of the car to the other. Extremely hard unless everything's in the right spot, which it wasn't, so that would have been really hard. So the doors were a bit flatter, which in hindsight it actually helped. And I actually think it looks better than the slightly pregnant model. Like even the earlier bigger ones, they were curved from one end to the other, and they were like really wide in the middle because they were a longer car, and it's more noticeable. And I call them like the pregnant car, whatever it is. So pushing out the side, so I got the slightly flatter. There's still a curve in the tops and the bottom of them, but they didn't manage to get the curve to the middle, which probably the suit, I guess. And I didn't have any working gear for that, so I just put them in and say, oh, and it actually came out looking right. Well, that's the update. I have had it running a few times. I've driven it once up and down the street. I had it 180, the first start up, it backfired a few times, and I figured out I was 180 out. It exploded the muffler. I'll show you. One big backfire. One big backfire. Oh, you can see what happened to it anyway. I can't see because it's so bright out here, but yeah, look at that was a professional exhaust shop, and I'm looking around here. It looks like he had no gas, and there's like a big hole here where there's mist. I'm like, shit, maybe I didn't do quite a good job on that exhauster. That was professional, dude. But I think he was just a learner. I think someone that didn't even know anything and just put him on the job. But yeah, probably just, yeah, I can do it. To get the job. Good on him. But good on him, yeah, got the job. So, I could have had done one door already glued in by now, all this yapping. So that's it for me now. Martin Daimler Jaguar Mark II and Classics, over and out. See you later. See you soon. Bye.